Hey, you guys, we're going over the purchase agreement tonight, and you guys should have received a purchase agreement, a blank one. And so, what I'm going to do is go over um, one that's already filled in, and we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. All right, but we'll get through this. And so, I have one that's already filled in. Hopefully, you guys can read this. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. I can't. So let's go over the purchase agreement. We'll just go over this one tonight. Now, if you're looking to either fix and flip or buy and hold, this is the contract you use. Go to the comment section and just let me know that you guys can hear me, and let me know if the agreement is big enough. I'll make it bigger in a minute. I just want to make sure that you guys can see the contract, and if you have any questions, you can go to the comment section. Tonight's training should only take about 30 minutes. We're just going to go over this purchase and sales agreement. But I just want to make sure you guys can hear me and see the contract. And so go to the comment section. Ralph said the volume is good. Can see it here well. Okay, good. All right, so let me go over this contract. And after I go over this one contract, it'll be a little smaller. And then you guys can just ask questions. And so you guys have a blank one. Okay. And so hopefully you guys can still see it. I'm gonna make it bigger so I can see it. All right. So we have this purchase and sales agreement. It's really simple, you guys. It's just really fill in the blank. I just want you guys to really read the contract and understand what goes in these blanks. That's the biggest thing. Just to be able to read it and then understand what goes in the blank. So, and honestly, that's how I learned how to write contracts 30 years ago, actually. I hate to say that because now I'm aging myself. But 30 years ago in 2 more months, the way I learned how to write contracts was my broker gave me a contract that was filled in. Then he gave me a blank contract, and he said, go teach yourself how to write a contract. And that's a true story. And I did. I just read it and understood. And I used the one that was filled in. And that's how I learned how to write a contract. Anyway, so let's go through this. I'm not going to go through every single paragraph, but the ones that are pertinent. And so the purchase and sales agreement herein called the contract is entered into by, and then you put yourself. I'll be Donald Duck today. So I'm going to put myself, Donald Duck, and or assignee with an address of. So here's what's important here. You're going to put either your name where Donald Duck is or your LLC. And it says and or assignee, which means either you're the buyer or whoever you assign this contract to is the buyer. And this allows us, and then there's another paragraph, that this allows us to assign a contract. We're having technical difficulties, but we're good. Keith's going to call me in a minute. And so you want to put either your name or your LLC. If you're wholesaling the property, whoever you wholesale the property to will be the assignee. Put your address, your phone number. And then for seller, you can look up, hold on real quick. Hey, I'm good. I found a contract. I'm good. All right. For the seller, you can easily find the seller. If you're an agent, you just look it up on the tax record. Or if you're not an agent, you can just Google. Golly, what do you Google? It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, in Maryland, you go to DLL. No, you go to SDAT. SDAT. It's wow. I could just spit this stuff off. I'm getting old. Anyway, you can find the seller. In this case, the seller is Mary Poppins Revocable Trust. And so whoever the seller is, it's easy to find. We just we put the seller there. We put the seller's current address, which may be different from number one, the property address, especially if the property, if the seller is an absentee owner. But if it's the same, it could be the same. In this case, it's the same. So they live in the property that they're selling. So we put that there. It says the sales shall also include all personal property and fixtures except, and then whatever's not conveying, you put right there. Paragraph 2 is the purchase price. So hopefully you've negotiated a good price. You've used what we call the Mayo formula, and so you put the sales price there. You put the earnest money. Now, as investors, as buyers, we want to put the lowest earnest money deposit as possible. So I put $5,000. So you're just going to subtract the $5,000 from the $380,000, and what's due at closing is the $375,000. That earnest money, that $5,000, the earnest money is given to the title company, and you, the buyer, you, the buyer, initial here on page 1. Page 2, it talks about earnest money. The buyer gets to use the title company of their choice. Paragraph 4, and on your blank copy, if you were able to print it out, I want you to circle paragraph 4, because paragraph 4 is one of the paragraphs that gets us out of the contract. It's a contingency. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, it is agreed that the buyer may require a new mortgage loan to finance this property. The application for this loan will be made with the lender acceptable to buyer. And unless a mortgage loan acceptable to buyer is approved without contingencies other than those specified in this contract within 15 days from the date of acceptance of this contract, this is the part I want you guys to underline. Buyer shall have the right to terminate this contract. So this is what gets you out of the contract, that first part of this paragraph. And really, what it really is if you're a wholesaler, it just buys you time, 15 days, to find a cash buyer. Now, as a wholesaler, I want you to have the cash buyer before you even write the contract. That's reverse wholesaling. But if not, then you put them on the contract. You've got 15 days to get out. You put paragraph 5, you put a closing date on here, which in this case was March the 16th. And you put that closing date there. Seller shall convey clear title. And so if it's not clear title, then as a buyer, you don't close on the deal. At closing, and this is a mistake that Dana always makes, at closing, buyer and seller agree to split the transfer and recordation costs 50-50. And so we always want to do that, especially if we're a wholesaler, because we don't want to wholesale a deal. We wholesale it and we're offering out at $380. I'm doing the math and saying, okay, at $380, I'm doing my closing costs. And then I get the contract, and now I've got to add at $380, I've got to add another 76, around another 76, let's call it $8,000 of expenses, because the wholesaler had me pay all the transfer and recordation taxes. That's an extra 2%, and didn't disclose that to me until they sent me the contract along with the assignment agreement. And so we always want to split. Now, if you don't split it, you've got to let the cash buyer know, Because one thing that's going to make the cash buyer upset and may not want to do business with you is if they see if something's on a contract that wasn't disclosed to them by the wholesaler. Now, again, this contract is not just for wholesalers. It's also for whether you're going to fix and flip the property, you're going to do a novation or a hotel. You use this contract. Seller agrees to provide possession of the property free and clear of debris, broom clean condition at settlement. Paragraph 6, execution of counterparts. This agreement may be executed in counterparts and by fax. But we don't use fax anymore. We do use DocuSign, though, you guys. You can use a dry signature DocuSign. All right, page 3, inspection. So circle number 7 as well. So you want to circle number 7. This agreement is subject to the final inspection and approval of the property by buyer in writing. And so this is another contingency, you guys, that gets you out of the contract. You've got to provide in writing acceptance of this property from your inspection by a certain date. And I try to push it out at least 2 weeks. What that's really doing is giving you 2 weeks to find a cash buyer. But it's also a way to get out the contract per the inspection. Paragraph 8, buyers shall be entitled to a key. Listen to this. Buyers shall be entitled to a key and entitled to access to show partners, lenders, inspectors, and or contractors prior to closing. Buyer may place an appropriate sign on the property prior to closing for prospective tenants and or signs. Circle paragraph 8. What that's really telling, what that really is for you to be able to show potential cash buyers prior to settlement to assign the contract to them if you're a wholesaler. Only if you're a wholesaler. Even if you're wholesaling, meaning you're going to assign the contract to an end buyer, you want to have access. So what paragraph 8 is giving you access to assign the contract. Paragraph 9 is your agency paragraph. This basically, you want to put your name or your LLC in those 3 blanks. But the gist of paragraph 9 is you're not representing the seller. If the seller wants representation, they've got to get it on their own. So paragraph 9 says that you may be a real estate agent or you may not be, but whether you are or not, you're not representing the seller. Seller has to get their own representation. So that's paragraph 9. Paragraph 10 just simply means you're going to put in the blank the state that the property is in. So if it's in Maryland, you put Maryland, DC, Virginia, North Carolina, and this contract is going to abide by the laws of that state. Paragraph 11 is just blatantly says that this is that the contract may be assigned. So you've got 2 places in the contract on page 1 where it says right here your name and or signee. In paragraph 11 that just says this contract may be assigned, may or may not be assigned. Paragraph 12, circle this one. Seller may grant the buyer and their respective heirs. I can't read this. Anyway, you have a right to market the property. You have a right to market this property. You can put it on the MLS. Sometimes we put it on the MLS. Let's see, executed personal legal representatives, successors, and permitted assigns. All the necessary rights to list for sale market, negotiate, and enter into a contract to sell or lease the property to a third party on behalf of the seller and before buyer takes title. Buyer intends to promptly resell property for a profit. Circle number 12. Number 12 says that you can market the property. You can put it on the MLS. It says the right to list. And so this contract, as you can see, is pro buyer, pro investor. It's pro investor. You're going to get the seller to put their initials here. Paragraph 13 just basically says that there's no no oral agreements. Everything has to be in writing. Seller initials down here. So does the buyer. And you guys, that's it. That is it for this contract. We'll go over the assignment agreement next time. I don't have the PDF to upload. Let's see. Are there any questions? Let's see. Cream is saying can see. Okay. Dana's saying, I know. All right. So Ralph is saying, for our protection, as the buyer, what is the best? Our name and address or LLC with a different address? So I would say an LLC. The answer is always LLC, Ralph, with a different address, if you can. Or LLC with a P.O. box number. Some people put a P.O. box number. All right, Karen is asking, before the contract is written by the wholesaler, we would discuss the costs, correct? Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I do, Karen. I write up the whole contract and I leave the purchase price blank. I leave that blank. I have everything else written up, ready for the seller, the motivated seller, but I leave that part blank. So paragraph 2, purchase price, I leave it blank. Now I have an idea of what I want to buy the property for, but I leave that blank and I'll handwrite that in unless we've already agreed. Let's see. Should the copy that we present to the seller have these items circled? No, don't have those circled, Dana. I was just telling you guys to circle those paragraphs to make sure you read them well. And some of those paragraphs either give you access to the property or are contingencies. Just those are just really the main paragraphs, but definitely don't have those circled, because now they're going to really, take a keen eye to those paragraphs. And so we don't want to do that. All right. Any questions about this contract? Any questions about this contract? I don't have the assignment contract as a PDF, but I'm happy to do those. We can do the assignment contract any day you want. We can actually wait until Tuesday. I'm gonna be out of town, but we can do it one day this week, or any day next week. Most of the people on here are very familiar with this contract. Here's my ask, you guys, that everybody on here go ahead and fill out the contract. You guys can write this down. Use yourself, because I want you guys to write this contract out and send it in to us. And so use yourself or your LLC as the buyer. Use me, Gregory Bennett, as a seller, and you can keep the seller's address the way it is. Keep the property the way it is, and use my address. Write it down. 6301 Ivy Lane, Greenbelt, Maryland, 20770. Use that as the property address and my address. That's the house you guys are buying. With a purchase price of $250,000, with the earnest money of $3,000. Hopefully, I'm not saying this too fast. What I would say with the closing date of April 16th, 2024. So my ask of you, your homework assignment, you guys, is to go ahead and fill this out and email it to either me or Keith. Or you can email it to Keith, K Bennett at BennettRealtySolutions.com. So fill this contract out. Here's what's going to happen, you guys. And it's really easy. As I said, this is how I learned how to write a contract. I wasn't given like this sort of tutorial. I was just given this contract one filled out and a blank one. My real estate broker at the time, 30 years ago, said, go learn how to write a contract. Like literally. I remember it. Guy's name, may he rest in peace, was Mac Abraham. I said, I've got a property that I need to write a contract on for a client. He said, here's one that's filled out. Here's a blank one. Go write the contract. And so that's kind of what I want you guys to do. That's exactly what I want you guys to do. So let's get through this one. Keith's saying I do have access to assignment, but we can do it later. We can do it next time. Let's get through this purchase contract, because there's going to come a time, you guys, where you're not going to be wholesaling. You're going to either be, and you're going to use this contract for if you're going to hold the property, flip the property, or do a hotel, and you're going to use this same contract for those. And so I want you guys to do this. Try to do it tonight and email it to Keith in the morning. Email to Keith in the morning to confirm. Yeah, so Karen, yeah, you are the buyer. I'm the seller. All right, so Ralph said he's got a Baltimore property that will be available by the end of next week. Yeah, let us know. I'll probably be in Baltimore Saturday, Ralph. So if you want to send the address, I can at least drive by while I'm up. Any other questions? Any other questions, you guys? This is still a Q&A. We just we hadn't taught a contracts class in a minute. So, but are there any other questions that you guys may have about investing or anything else? Any other questions? All right, so let's get our homework done. You guys are only going to learn if you actually do it. And so do the contract, send it to Keith, K Bennett at BennettRealtySolutions.com. We'll take a look at it and we'll give you guys a thumbs up. But this is one of the most important parts, and this is where a lot of investors, holds them back from investing, just writing these contracts. And honestly, it's really easy. It's really easy. It's fill in the blank. You're not even writing the contract. You're just filling in the blanks. The contract's already written. You just have to understand what goes into the blanks. So I want you guys to do that. Ralph, if you want, you could use the Ivy Lane address for your LLC. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so I want you guys to do this with confidence that you know what each blank is. And if you have any questions tonight, tomorrow, call me, text me, because you've got to get it right. And again, I practiced 30 years ago, like literally, like I was looking at the date. I was like, I started selling real estate like June. It was actually June of 1994. I was a young buck. But yeah, June of 1994. Wow, I'm getting old. And then, so obviously then there was no like technology or anything like that. And brokers, they weren't teaching you. They like you had to learn this stuff on your own. But anyway, you guys have questions, call me, text me. We'll go over the blanks that you guys are confused with. But read the contract, know the purpose of every blank, and have confidence in what you're doing. If you guys have any deals whatsoever for me to vet, I've got some limited time this week, almost every day. And so I can go look at properties. We've got to get out here and start finding deals, wholesaling properties, fix and flipping properties. I've got a couple deals now. I'm stepping up my game, in part because the real estate industry is changing. Not to say that we're going to make any less money, but it is changing. Those that aren't aware, it's changing for agents. As of Friday, National Association of Realtors came out and said that the seller no longer has to pay the buyer's agent. There's even on the MLS, you're not even allowed now to put what the compensation for the buyer's agent is. And so all that has to be negotiated, if it's negotiated, either between the buyer and the buyer's agent or off the MLS with the seller. And so there's sweeping changes in our industry, so much so that as we know, we have a very successful brokerage, 500 agents, but I'm stepping my game up on the investing side. And and so I'm back to wanting to do, 4 or 5 or 6. My goal is to get up to 10 deals a month. And so we're hustling again. We're hustling now, out in the field more every day. Love to bring you guys along with me. There's lots of deals out here, but we've got to step up our marketing. That's the key to our success. We've got to step up our marketing. All right, you guys. Yeah, Karen, email the contract. I know you already know how to write the contracts. A lot of you guys, some of you guys are agents, and so I know you guys know how to. I see Dana on here. Dana knows how to write contracts. So, all right, you guys, that's all I've got. Contact us, send us the contracts. Let's get out in the field. Let's find some deals. Let's do some marketing. Take care. God bless. I'll talk to you guys soon. Good night.